The weeks are just flying by, and it was Super Sunday time again. Two games and two exciting matches. Rahul Patil, Sarvesh Utpat, again back with you to discuss everything that's happened in those two games. Game number one was played at the Wankhede Stadium. It was Mumbai Indians taking on Delhi Capitals, and unfortunately, it was the battle of the two teams that were at the bottom of the leaderboard. A must win game for Mumbai, and in fact, a must win game for Delhi as well. But it was Mumbai on this occasion who finally found some form. To the joy of my co host sitting in Mumbai, he sat through three losses so far. So if you can see a smile on Sarvesh's face, it is a reflection of the result that we can see on our screens. Sarvesh must be feeling good to have the W against Mumbai's name.
Yes. It, it felt like it was coming for some time, but it was not just coming off. So I think today was the day when it finally finally happened for Mumbai at their home ground, and it felt like everything was falling in place for Mumbai.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, a massive crowd at the 1K day. The great initiative to bring school kids in and underprivileged kids in to watch
Yeah.
the cricket. It was a packed stadium. It was full of blue, and anything less than a Mumbai win would have almost been a downer for that big crowd. Um, in a big game like this, in a must-win game like this, you need a great start, and they got the perfect start. Rohit Sharma, Ishan Kishan providing a dream start. Um, they couldn't have asked for more from both their openers.
Yes, 75 for no loss in 6 overs. I think on any wicket is a very good start, and you expect these kind of starts from Rohit Sharma particularly. But today, uh, if you, I mean, those 27 balls, it is not a complete reflection because last four of those balls were dots. So he was actually 49 from 23 deliveries, and then he played three dots, and then he just felt that pressure to just make up for those lost deliveries, and he did not care if even if he was on 49, he did not care. He just felt that he need to get going, so he didn't care about the milestone, and he just went after Akshar Patel, and he lost his wicket in the course. But that's how he has been batting in last few years, and that's how he batted today. So I think no complaints there. 49 from 27 is a very good return on that, and most importantly, it felt like that power play. Somebody had to do the scoring inside that power play, and I think he did a very good job there, and well supported by Ishan Kishan, because Ishan, he has been getting starts in last few games, but not making those into a big ones today, big ones before. But I think today he was very good again. And what I liked about Ishan was when Rohit was dismissed, Surya Kumar Yadav, it was his just first game after that. He spent 4 months on the sidelines. He was not playing cricket. He was recovering from multiple injuries, surgeries. So I think it was his first game, and it is not completely fair to expect somebody to directly step up after such a long injury leave. So I think Ishan did a very good job there, because after losing Surya Kumar Yadav, somebody had to keep scoring. So Ishan Kishan did that job. So I think no complaints from that top three. I think Surya Kumar Yadav will take some time, but I think no complaints.
We're just getting a little bit of feedback. It sounds like someone's typing a typewriter in the background when you're speaking. So maybe just have a look at your settings.
Okay.
But we will continue because one of the things in that one day international World Cup that we saw in India was the fact that Rohit Sharma took the onus and he was giving the team brilliant starts. Now, going into this T20 World Cup, a lot of talk about Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma and their strike rates and whether they are fit for this format or not. Um, but I mean, this is exactly what we need from an opening batter. Someone who's selfless, someone who's not worried about throwing his wicket away, someone who's going to go after the bowling, someone who's got all the shots in the book, someone who can take on the spinners and the fast bowlers. So yeah, Rohit Sharma ticks a lot of boxes, and yeah, it's just good signs that he's finding this form just when at the right time.
Yes, I mean, he has gotten to 30s and quick 40s this season as well. So I think he's looking good. I mean, that big score of 70-80 may not come, but he'll still give those quick starts. And that's what, if you look at this Mumbai team, you will not find many anchors in this team. People will come in and they'll play quick fire 30s, 40s, 60s, and then the team at the end of the day you will see that team score is almost 200, and all three four batters are getting for 30, 40, or 60 or 50 runs. So that's the kind of team Mumbai prefers. Even in this scorecard, if you see, the total score is 234 for 5 wickets, and not a single batsman has crossed 50. So I think that tells you that the kind of cricket, the brand of cricket this team likes to play. And yeah, like I said, there are no anchors. But then at number 4, you look at that score from 39, from 33. You might feel that Hardik was anchoring, but I don't think he was trying to anchor. I think it wasn't just coming off or something else that we aren't aware of. But I think apart from Hardik, I think everyone made up for those 3, 4, and 5. They could not get going. I mean, this happens in games like this, but I think 1, 2, and the final 2 batters, they almost made up for that.
I saw a stat somewhere on social media which said that this is the highest team total where no batter has gone past 50, and you
Yeah,
rightly pointed that out. But apparently, this is now the officially the highest team total, and it's about 1,300 or 13,000 T20 games across franchises, across tournaments. This has never happened. So no team has scored 234 for 5, where none of their batters have got a
yeah,
50 plus score. Um, let's talk about that innings from Hardik Pandya. I mean, he's been through a lot in those first 3 games. He's come back from a different franchise. He was playing a slightly different role at that franchise. Then he got injured. He's been out of cricket. Suddenly, he's lost love with the team that he's captaining. Not the players, but the fans. Um, and then today, it was a perfect opportunity for him to kind of stamp his authority on this game and show the old Hardik Pandya. But what we saw was someone who was scratchy, someone who was really struggling to kind of get the ball.
yeah.
Is this um, the Hardik of old? We all know what the Hardik of old was capable of. He'd come in, he'd go from ball one, he had the big hits, he had that bat swing, he could do anything he wanted. Um, what do you put down this Hardik 2.0 to?
The old Hardik is long gone, I think. The old Hardik used to eat spinners from the opposition for dinner, breakfast, lunch, for almost almost everywhere. So he would do that. He would literally butcher the opposition spinners, and that's the Hardik that the opponents used to. They used to plan a lot for that, but I think this is not coming off now. I think this is new Hardik. We have seen this in the past that he is sort of playing that role of modern anchor. You would say modern anchors are not the typical anchors, but they are basically slower than their teammates, but they catch up and make up for that at the end. But they are not typically the slowest at the start, which normally the typical anchors are. So I think he's playing that role, but I don't think these figures are good for that kind of a role, because modern anchors, you see them scoring at least 130 by 140 runs, 140 strike rate. So I think it's good that he came at number 4, because imagine had Tilak Verma come up and then had Hardik played instead of Romario Shepherd, then this would have been a huge. Again, this would have been again a talking point that he is not getting the runs at the back end. There were batters available, but some like MI could not get the runs at the back end. This would have been again the talk of the talk for tonight. So I think it's good that he's trying to come at number 3, number 4. But again, if he does that, then if Tilak Verma is basically getting sacrificed, because we have seen best of Tilak Verma when he bats in top 4, and now he has to bat at number 5. His numbers again, he got out very cheaply today. I think that Tilak Verma's wicket, that was, I think, mainly because of the pressure which Hardik put that team into. I think Hardik was going at almost at a run a ball at that time, and I think somebody had to do the scoring. So Tilak tried doing that, and he got dismissed. So I think that's the kind of pressure that Hardik's knock put in on that middle order.
Yeah, you rightly say that, because at the start of the tournament, he said that he was going to be the designated finisher for this team. And today he came in at number 4, which wasn't quite a finisher's position. So we don't know whether that cla- uh, role clarity that is required, is there quite yet. But as of today, we're 4 matches through in the IPL for the Mumbai Indians. As of today, if the Indian selectors were selecting the team for the T20 World Cup in the West Indies and USA, does Hardik Pandya walk into that side or not?
Why should he walk into that side? He hasn't bowled for last 2 games. He's playing at number 3, number 4, and we already have too many options available at that point. I mean, let's say if it comes down to Virat or Hardik, who will you pick? It's a no brainer. It's a no
Yeah.
brainer. If you have to pick somebody to play that kind of a role, then it has to be Virat, right? You don't need anybody else just for that role. And at number 4, you're already going. You will be having Surya Kumar Yadav. You'll be having Virat. You'll be having all these guys, Rinku Singh. In that middle order, I think Hardik, if he's not bowling like we have seen in last 2 games, and if he's batting like this, then there's no case for Hardik Pandya. Then we have to probably look at other players like maybe Shivam Dube who are doing the job in those middle overs, who are taking the load off from that batting order. So I think these are the players I think we should look at. I mean, if Hardik's form continues like this, then probably we'll have to look somewhere else.
Fair point, and I think you justify it pretty well as well. Right, let's talk about this icing on the cake put on this Mumbai total by those two names at the bottom, Tim David, Romario Shepherd. 31 balls between the two of them for 84 runs
Yeah.
collectively. Strike rates of 214, 319. Is Romario Shepherd the new Kieron Pollard of Mumbai Indians?
When even in that SRH game, we saw him coming up and he was trying to finish the game. I think he's not going to be the Kieron Pollard for women. I mean, nobody can replicate what Kieron Pollard did for so many years. I think they are looking at Tim David to play a similar role. And I'm also glad that he came at his usual number and there was no shielding in spite of those wickets falling in the middle over. So I think maybe we can discuss that later. But I think coming back to Romario Shepherd, I think he is somebody who can do this job at number 7. And Mumbai never had that kind of a finisher. Maybe after Kieron Pollard, they used to look at Hardik Pandya to do this kind of a role, to play this kind of a role. They had Hardik, they had Krunal, who used to do this job. But I think now they can look at Romario Shepherd, who can give them 3 overs or 4 overs and do this job. So I think it's a very good acquisition. When he was signed from LSG, I mean, there were a lot of questions being asked that why is he signed, why is he signed, and what is the kind of role that he's going to play. And so we have the answer. This is what he can do with the bat, and he's not signed for just for those 4 overs. He's signed for a much bigger impact, I think.
And one last thing on that partnership and that mad hitting that we saw from Romario Shepherd, especially in that final over. You watched a lot of cricket at the Wankhede Stadium. I've seen one game at the Wankhede Stadium, which was the India versus New Zealand semi-final in that World Cup. The roof of Wankhede Stadium is really very high.
Yeah.
When you hit a ball outside the stadium, that is just some insane amount of brute force and power is in there.
So Anrik Nokia was trying to bowl at 140, 145, and Romario Shepherd was trying to hit him at probably 155, 160 kilometers. So that was the kind of battle we saw. And those sixes, you rightly pointed out, those were not small by any means. They were huge, humongous sixes. And when you hit, because the thing is that it's a stadium right in the heart of the city. And what happens in these cases is that you don't have any space to go horizontal, so you build that stadium like a vertical stadium up. So you'll have many vertical stands, and so the roof rightly said that the roofs will be much higher in such stadiums. So the roof is already high, and he's putting those sixes even over those high roofs there. So I think those sixes were huge. I think he used all the power that he got, and you can judge that from the reaction of his teammates from the dressing room. Hardik, Sachin, I mean, everyone was like, "Wow, what is this? Where is this going?" So that's the kind of reaction that we saw. I think those sixes were huge.
Yeah. Yeah, playing the finisher's role to an absolute T was Romario Shepherd there. 234 is what they finished with. If we look at DC's bowling card, and when an opposition team scores as many as they did, there's going to be a lot of badly wounded soldiers on that bowling card. Khalil Ahmed started well. At one stage, he was 23 of 3 overs, but then had one expensive over. Ishan Sharma, had his issues with wides and extras that he gave. So going at 13.33. Jai Richardson, we saw the first of Jai Richardson in this tournament, struggling with the heat and struggling to keep a good line and length, going for 10. But in a game of 234, people who are bowling at
Yeah,
9.75, 10,
it's a good. Yeah.
8.75 by Aksar Patel, these are all great figures, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. For just going at 10 runs per over when your teammates have considered 16, 15, and 14. So I think and the overall team has considered at almost 11.5. So 10 becomes a decent outcome. And let's also not forget the fact that he played his first game last. He missed the entire season last time with injury. He was with Mumbai Indians last time around. He missed the entire season. He's just trying to come back. He hasn't played a lot of cricket. So I think considering that, he actually did a better job than Andrik Nokia, who has been here for like a few games now.
Um, with Andrik Nokia, since you mentioned his name, we keep speaking about him and we said he's come back after injury.
Yeah.
When is that? When does Delhi draw a line and say we cannot continue with this? Because as an overseas professional, 65 for two from 4 overs is not really cutting the mustard for them. So when is that time that they say, "Now we got to look elsewhere"?
I think you have to see the options that they have. I think Nokia and Jai Richardson are the only two options that they have right now who could do this job. But again, they have they have some issues with the injuries. I think Kuldeep Yadav is not fit. Mukesh Kumar is also not fit, and these are the guys who will be in contention for that T20 World Cup spot. So I think the message will be to not risk them, not risk their injuries, and let them recover. So I think till that time, I think they will have to manage with these resources. So they do not have a lot many bowlers to play around with. So I think they will have to keep backing Nokia at least for next 1 or 2 games, because right now they have lost 4 games out of 5. So this season is already difficult, looking very difficult for them. They may not recover from this. They do not have a lot many options. So I think they'll probably stick with him for 1 or 2 games, because even in the spin department they have Akshar and Kuldeep, and again not many players there as well. So I think they don't have those many bowlers. So I think that tells you that the kind of situation they are in right now. So they don't have any options there.
Absolutely. And if we can quickly go back to that Mumbai Indians scorecard, I just wanted to check one last thing was, do we know how many extras were given? Because at one stage, I was quite mindful of the amount of extras that
Yeah,
they had considered.
I think they consider.
And
Yeah,
I'm just going to have a quick look at the scorecard. And there we have it, 14 extras,
yeah.
one no ball in that, and 13
13 wides.
wides.
Yeah,
Yeah, so you're not helping yourself. And I remember one of those wides by Ishan Sharma actually went down to the boundary as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
So yeah, not helping yourself if you're giving 14 away in extras. You would have been chasing only 220 if not for those. Right. What did DC come up with? They fell short. Obviously, Mumbai winning by 29 runs. Prithvi Shaw again, back at the top of the order. He was playing well in that last game, playing in technically his home ground of Mumbai because
Yeah.
he is a Mumbai lad. He knows that wicket better than anybody else. He's played so much cricket at the 1KD. 66 of 40, supported there by Abhishek Porel, and we'll come to Tristan Stubbs later. But uh, for a long time in that DC innings, they were in the game.
So till by the end of 19th over, DC were 201 for I think 5. That was the score, and Mumbai at the same time were 202. So till that moment, till we out of those 40 overs, till the 39th over, they were neck to neck. They were just 1 run behind. So it was just a difference of last over, which Romario Shepherd, he absolutely demolished Nokia and threw him everywhere on those railway tracks, marine drive, everywhere he was going. I think, I think that final over was a difference maker, which Romario Shepherd played. I think Stubbs, he kept them in the game. I felt they needed Rishabh Pant at 3 when David Warner was dismissed cheaply, but they sent Porel. Porel did a decent job, but I know after a point he got stuck. So they needed some experience to, from Rishabh Pant to be there. But I think they preferred him to bat down the order and play that finisher's role. But when you have 235 to chase, I don't think that really matters because it becomes too late for your key batters then.
Absolutely. I mean, we always talk about this that your best batters should be getting the most opportunity to play. And when you look at that scorecard and you look at the likes of Rishabh Pant and Akshar Patel, who've done it at international level, batting below Tristan Stubbs, it just leaves a few question marks there. Because had Rishabh Pant come in place of Abhishek Porel, I mean, ifs and ands again, who knows
Yeah.
what would have happened. But at least you're giving yourself the best chance of kind of chasing down that total. Um, we've got DC in a very kind of tricky situation. I mean, 234, chasing 234 is difficult. Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong. It's always going to be difficult. They came close. Should they just be happy about the fact that they were in that game for until 19 overs? Or do they turn around and say, look, we shouldn't have actually given them that many to
Yeah.
start off with? Because, and we saw Ricky Ponting on social media come out and say that he wasn't impressed and
Yeah.
he felt disappointed in the bowling lineup in the previous game because they conceded a lot of runs in that previous game as well.
Yes.
Um, uh, where do DC go from here? What can they do to kind of maybe turn this around?
I think so. If you look at that last over from Henrik Nokia, you will feel that Rishabh Pant was very disappointed. You could see that disappointment on his face. And Ricky Ponting was, I mean, you can see those reactions on his face. I mean, he's not good at hiding those reactions. So you can clearly see how frustrated he was. And I mean, your most experienced bowler, your season campaigner, and if he is not doing the job for you, in fact, he's conceding those runs, against somebody who is just playing his second game of the season. He hasn't played a lot of games in IPL. So doing that, doing that, and then actually putting your side in a position where where you go beyond the point of recovery. I mean, that last over, that it put them in a position where it was very difficult for them to recover, but they still managed to do something. And I think 205 for 8, I think it's still a decent batting performance. It's a good batting performance, I would say. They made some errors with the batting order, but I think it's a still good performance. But you rightly pointed out the game was over. At the end of that first innings, that 20th over, that killed the entire tempo for them, and you could see that they were carrying. They were sort of carrying that tempo, to their power play. Where in that power play, I think they got. I think how many? I think they got 50, 46 something runs. Let's look at that score. Yeah, 46 runs for one wicket. And I think this is where the game changed. That last over hammering, and then they came to bat in that power play, and they just got 46. Whereas you look at Mumbai Indians, they got 75 for no loss. So I think that was the difference maker. Those 30 runs there, and the margin was also around those 30 runs.
They did kind of make up for it in that next set of 4 overs between 7 to 10, outscoring Mumbai by about 18.
Yeah,
They also outscored Mumbai in the next section, which is the 11 to 15 over section, with about 50. And that's the time where Tristan Stubbs kind
yeah,
of
yeah,
has come in and done his bit. But yeah, in that last section,
yeah.
as you said, until the 19th over, they were neck to neck with Mumbai. And then Romario Shepherd happened.
Yeah. In that second
So
session as well, from 7 to 10, they scored 48 runs from 4 over. I think before the game, before the start of that innings, you said that Prithvi Shaw is going to score runs. So I want to know from you, what was the logic behind that prediction, because that nearly came right.
look, there's no secret. I've been a Prithvi Shaw fan for a long, long time. Ever since he was playing his junior days level cricket, then he makes his India debut, gets 100, and I somewhere feel that after one loss in Adelaide, a lot of questions were raised about his technique and stuff like that, and he got dropped. Then he went off the rails a bit,
Yeah.
and I'm not trying to give excuses, but He's a special player. I've got a lot of time for him because talent like that is quite rare. I know that he's working hard to kind of find his form again, kind of find his place again as such. And I just had that feeling that looking at him in the last game, that was the most comfortable he's looked in a
Yeah,
long time in an innings that I've watched.
yeah,
I mean, we don't get access to a lot of his innings, so I've not watched him. But I've also seen Prithvi Shaw score 50 in New Zealand against a New Zealand
yeah.
attack on an absolute green seaming wicket, and he was playing shots as if he was having a net session. So I know how talented he is and how classy he can be. Looking at him last innings, I just got that feeling. And playing at home today, chasing a target of 234, which means he didn't have to think about it too much. He just had to go from ball one. That is Prithvi Shaw's nature, anyways. So I just thought everything pointed towards. I didn't think they would win, but I thought he'd get a score today, and which is why I sent you a message saying I think he's going to get runs today. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're pretty right when you said that he was actually looking good last time around, and I think from that DC's best years in recent past. Let's take to 2020 for example. They reached final at that in that season, and I think they had lot many. They had Ajinkya Rahane, they had Shikhar Dhawan, they had Shreyas Iyer, they had Marcus Stoinis, they had Shimran Hetmeyer, then Rishabh Pant and Prithvi Shaw, and now from that group everyone is gone. Rishabh Pant is trying to make his way back. He's coming off from a 1 year injury. Even Prithvi Shaw had some issues with the injury. So I think this group they are completely dissembled, and I think these are the only two guys which are left, and they have that response. They sort of feel that pressure to get DC back on track because they have that onus on them, and uh, I think I'm very glad that it is coming out for both of them because even Rishabh Pant is finally now looking good. It's not easy to come back after such long injury layoff. I think both these guys are looking good. So even if DC have lost this game, I think there are some encouraging signs. With the way Prithvi Shaw batted today, with the way Tristan Stubbs is going. So I think these are the positives that they can surely take.
absolutely. So what does this do to? Oh no, we still got to talk about Mumbai's bowling.
Yeah,
Absolutely. How can
yeah,
we forget about Mr. Mr. Kodzia?
yeah.
4 for 34, breaking the back of that run chase. And Bumrah did Bumrah things, and that's where that power play kind of was as low as it was. 2 for 22 in a 234 run chase, Sarvesh. Um, uh, I know this. We don't need to talk about him because we know what he does, and any praises on Bumrah is like saying, uh, that we're just repeating ourselves game after game if we praise him. Um, but on that wicket at the Wankhede Stadium, where we know that boundary scoring is so easy, this is just a different level, isn't it?
The ability to bowl those Yorkers at will, it is something, and that control that he has. And I mean, sometimes you see batters are not playing him on repetitions. Sometimes what happens is batters try to play you on repetition, like we saw with Rashid Khan. At some point this season, that Mumbai versus GT game, they were trying to play him on with his reputation. And in the next game, we saw Rashid Khan getting found out. But with Bumrah, you rarely see this happen. I mean, batters try to play him, as per the situation. But he's so good at predicting. He's so good at bowling those Yorkers, those cutters, and the slow ones. Everyone he's basically good at everything. He has mastered all the arts. He can bowl with the new ball in the middle phase. At the back end, he can bowl on those dry wickets, on those pacey wickets, bouncy wickets. So I think he's one solution for all the issues. And I think whatever the wicket is, whatever the type of pitch is, he will deliver. And that's the kind of that's the kind of Bumrah that that's the kind of brand he has created. So I mean, I like you said, we don't have to talk about him much more because we will just be repeating ourselves. So yeah, that's Bumrah for you.
Yeah, the Yorker to get Prithvi Shaw
Yeah,
was a brilliant one. I
yeah,
mean, the kind of form that Shaw was in, it needed a special delivery to get
yeah,
him out, and that Yorker was just that. Quick word on Kochia coming good. He's at number 4 now. Sorry, he's got 4 wickets
yeah,
today, and he's kind of had a very up or down kind of tournament
Yeah,
because we saw him go for a lot of runs in a couple of matches and really spray it all over. But when he gets it right,
yeah.
he is some bowler, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, even we saw this even in World Cup. He was going for runs in some of the games, but he was still finding ways to pick up wickets. And I think this is the kind of role. If you remember, Mitch McClenaghan, your fellow Kiwi, he used to play for Mumbai Indians. He used to go for 40, 50, on a consistent basis, but he would return Mumbai Indians with those 3 to 4 wickets, sometimes 2 wickets, 3 wickets, 4 wickets. That's the kind of performances that he used to put. And I think Gerald Koje is doing a similar job there. His role is to pick up wickets because to contain runs, you can go to other bowlers. You have Bumrah to control the innings. You have Akash Madwal, but I think Kozia is somebody who will just come in and run hard and try to bowl those quick bouncers and pick up wickets. So I think that's the role. And maybe the management has told him that don't have to worry about the runs. Just get us wickets and we should be fine. So I think yeah, that's his role. Now you can see him at number 5. His economy is still somewhere around 10.6, but he has taken
Yeah,
7 wickets in 4 games.
I was just going to say on that list of 10 bowlers, his economy is the highest
Yeah,
amongst all those bowlers. But yeah, he is providing you wickets. And if your batting is scoring 234,
yeah,
I think you can take 10.62 with both hands
yeah,
if you every time if he's giving you 4 wickets.
exactly.
Um, right. Well, league table time for Mumbai and Delhi because they were both at the bottom. Where are they right now?
So Mumbai have now gone to number 8 because the net run rate is now better than Bengaluru and Delhi. So yeah, they are at number 8 with 1 victory. They are finally off the mark because rest of the teams have already won one game each, at least one game. So I think good signs for Mumbai.
I think they need a run though. They
Yeah,
can't drop another game until they kind of come at par with all the other teams now.
yeah,
So if you're a Mumbai supporter and a Mumbai fan, I think you need to cross your fingers and hope that this is the start of something because they surely don't want to be in the same boat as Bengaluru and Delhi with
yeah,
1 and 5.
yeah.
I think two in 2 and 5 would be a great result for them in their next game. Well, that brings us to the end of the first game. We've also had another game played in Lucknow today between the Lucknow Super Giants and GT. Now, we were all excited, and I don't know if you saw yesterday's episode, but I was really excited to see Mayank Yadav, and we'll talk a bit more about that later. But Lucknow batting first, 163 for 5 from 20 overs. Again, an innings where um, not a lot of people got a lot of many runs. We had just Marcus Stoinis there with 58, top scoring for them. KL Rahul 33 of 31, Nicholas Puran 32 of 22, and then Badoni towards the end providing a bit of a finishing kick. Um, this wicket, Sarvesh, felt like the wicket in Lucknow that we used to see all of last season, which was kind of difficult to kind of get going on.
Yes. First innings, I felt that because we know that this wicket was changed for the World Cup, and this wicket last time around it produced 120, 130, and 140 kind of games, and that's something they had to work on. They had to redo the entire strip, and they changed it for the World Cup. I think which was the right move. I think, and now again, this game it felt like it is going back to its original characteristics. It is showing the same old signs. It felt like that because normally you don't see KL Rahul getting dismissed when he's that kind of a zone where he's just about run the ball. He has played around 27, 28 deliveries. So that becomes a very difficult time to actually dismiss KL Rahul because he is somebody. If he plays those many deliveries, he knows how to make up for those. So I think that was the first indication that I got, and I think after that, uh, nobody could get going. Even we saw even Nicholas Puran was facing it, finding it very difficult at the back end. Even in that last over, he could not play those usual Nicholas Puran shots. So I think that was a indication.
When you look at that scorecard, I mean, we saw Quinton de Kock come into form in the last game. Failure today. KL Rahul, scoring runner ball. But one player I want to talk to you about, Devdutt Padikkal. In all this mess of finding the right spot for him, Nobody seems to kind of find the right position for him in that batting order. What needs to happen with Devdutt Padikkal, in your opinion?
I think first thing is that you have to realize that he's somebody who's an opener, right? I mean, he's not going to. I mean, now at domestic cricket he bats at number three most of the times at Ranji, but I think even after that, it is. I expect him to do his best whenever he gets to bat in that first 4 5 overs. Today, I think Quinton de Kock was dismissed. I think in over number one or two, right? And I think he had so basically his entry point was power play. So that's what he normally likes to do. So, but if he was still not able to do that, then I think there is something wrong going on with him, because you expect Devdutt Padikkal to come in whenever he comes in power play. He usually likes to you get runs in that phase, because that is his phase, his natural phase. But it could not happen for him today.
Yeah, and Marcus Stoinis also, we've seen him kind of bat lower down the order, bat higher in the order. But I think he's one kind of batter who is kind of quite adaptive to whatever position he comes in. If he comes lower down the order as a finisher, he can adapt to that. If he comes higher up, he can play that game. Um, Good innings by him today, considering that he read that surface well and he kind of knew exactly how much was needed to make a match out of it.
Yes, and even he even got one life. He was dropped. I think I felt it was a sitter, not exactly a sitter, but I think you expect Rashid Khan to catch those kind of those complete those kind of difficult catches. But after that, after that dropped catch, he scored I think two sixes in the next over, and that now his numbers are looking much better, because before that I think he was going just above on the ball. Now it looks like a strike rate of 135, so it looks better. So I think even he was finding it difficult. It wasn't the typical Marcus Stoinis fluent innings that we are used to seeing, but he stayed there, and credits to him that he stayed there and he made up for made up for those lost deliveries. Because when you have somebody like Nicholas Puran and Aish Beduni and all these finishers available at the back end, you have to sometimes have to play safely in that difficult period, and then you just have to go on and try to score quickly, because you have those many batters available. Because there is no point in going 150 for loss of 2 wickets at the end of 20th over. You could just utilize all the resources.
Perfectly put. So 163 from for the loss of 5 wickets in their 20 overs is what they ended up with. For GT, um, a decent bowling effort. I mean, we've seen Mohit Sharma go for runs in that last game, which we said doesn't happen quite often. But today also proving to be very expensive. Darshan Nalkande, the one over wonder that GT have, who comes in towards the end, came in slightly earlier today, I feel,
Yeah.
to kind of finish off. He was expensive, but Umesh Yadav and Rashid Khan and Noor Ahmed, who's been absolutely sensational for them, getting the job done. And you'd expect spinners to do well on that wicket, anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. So Noor Ahmed is somebody now they are looking at him, because if you can get 3 to 4 overs of Noor Ahmed early, starting from over number 7, then you can actually keep Rashid Khan for the back end for over number 16, 17, or 18. So that's the kind of job Noor Ahmed is doing these days. He's allowing them to keep Rashid for 2 3 overs for the back end. And Noor Ahmed is also, if you see Rashid Khan and Noor Ahmed, they look like mirror images of each other. So yeah, this is a Noor Ahmed is again a very good. I mean, he came in as a injury replacement, I think, last to last season, and I think he's
Yes.
doing a fantastic job.
Yeah. Perfect. In return, GT is faced with the target of 164, 130 all out. And we always say never judge a pitch until both sides have batted on it. But as soon as um, Shubman Gill and Sai Sudarshan kind of gave them a decent start, but as soon as those wickets fell and the spinners came in, it was a different ball game altogether. There were wickets left, right, center. There were shots being played, top edges being caught on the boundary. It's a big ground, is Lucknow. Make no mistake. And LSG absolutely, knowing their home ground like the back of their palm, making good use of those longer sides of the field, using the spinners wisely, and just putting a web around GT that they somehow just couldn't get off.
Yeah. Yes, and uh, their batting lineup. If you start with, I mean, you have Shubman Gill and Sai Sudarshan in top two, and I'm glad that Sai Sudarshan batted at in that opening spot, because I felt at number three he was coming in when when it was becoming difficult for him to score freely, and I think he did a decent job. 31 of 23. It was not the kind of innings that you expect, because once Shubman Gill gets out, Sai Sudarshan has to go on and make that into a big one. That did not happen, but still, I think this is the spot for Sai Sudarshan, because at number three, I feel he gets at number 3 or 4 he gets wasted a bit. I think this is the right position for him to play, and they did not play Riddhiman Saha today, so they had a newcomer, BR Sharat, playing at Saha's position, and I think don't quite understand that middle order of Kane Williamson. Then they also have Vijay Shankar in there. Then Darshan Alkande was sent up today, and VR Sharath is still a very unknown commodity. So I think that middle order looks very fragile to me, especially when David Muller is not there. Not there. So what are your thoughts on that middle order?
Yeah, I mean, you look at a batting order and you think, who is the one who can win me a game on any given day? Because that's what you want in a T20. When you look at any player in your 11, if he has a good day, can he win me a game on his own? And when you look at GT's batting scorecard, the only person that you get the feeling can do that for you is Shubman Gill.
Shubman Gill, yeah,
Uh, there is nobody else on that. Even Sai Sudarshan, with all due respect to his
yeah.
numbers and his credentials, I don't think he's quite there yet where you can confidently say that he can win us a game on his own. And when that happens, um, I think you're going to struggle. You sent me a message during the game which said that the effects of the whole Hardik Pandya transfer are being seen and felt by not just one team but by three teams. Can you just elaborate on that for us?
So when Hardik moved away from this team, now look at it's very I think it's a good time to discuss this, because today Mumbai played and even GT played, and both teams had their both teams showed signs of some signs of changes from last season. Now put Hardik in this situation in this team, and it would have been a typical Hardik situation where uh, he could just play as a focal point of that middle order and just allow others to score runs quickly, and then at the back end Hardik would take charge and would look to finish the game. That's the kind of role he had given himself when he was at GT, when he was leading GT. Now today, Hardik that we saw at Mumbai Indians, he was basically anchoring the entire innings, and everyone around him was going at 200, 180, 190, 200, and everyone was just coming in and scoring those sixes at will. So I think it looked like he was a misfit there in that Mumbai batting lineup. But if you put that Hardik in this team, you will feel that okay, this is a tailor-made situation for somebody like Hardik. So I think Hardik going from here to there, I think it has destabilized this Gujarat middle order, and it's not just Hardik. I mean, today we saw no David Miller, so I think that is also a point. But again, coming back to Hardik, that basically destabilized GT's middle order. Now with Mumbai, Hardik now since Hardik is playing for Mumbai, they had to leave somebody out so that Nihal Vadera, Vishnu, these guys are not playing, because that one spot is now taken by Hardik. Green is gone. Cameron Green used to come in at number 3, number 4, and used to score quick runs for them. Now that is not happening, so somebody else will have to do that. So again, Mumbai's batting order is feeling that pressure in that top order, especially with Sky not available for these mini games. And then again, now you go to RCB, you will feel that they needed those many funds, those many 17.5 crores. It's not a small amount. They needed that amount, and they probably should have spent that much amount on one of the bowlers. Probably not one, maybe probably one or two bowlers. Those bowlers would have actually helped them to defend those 180, 190 scores at Bengaluru. So I think all the three teams, it feels like they are all struggling, and it has started that cascading effect, ripple effect that one would say. That ripple effect is causing all these three teams to, that they have basically destabilized these three teams. I mean, Mumbai have just won one game, GT two, and RCB one, and so they have lost lot many games.
It's a bit like a chess game, isn't it? You move one piece from one place to another, and suddenly the whole board starts looking different. Um, Yeah, I mean, I feel for GT because they're missing David Miller, they're missing Mohammad Shami,
Yeah,
who's injured, so he's not available. So the bowling's weakened, the batting's weak because Miller's injured, and they've lost Hardik Pandya. So it's a new look team.
yeah,
So to expect the same levels of performances from them as we've seen in the last 2 years might be asking for a bit too much.
yeah,
But time will tell. Again, they've got one inspirational batter at the top who's capable of turning it around for them. They've got Rashid Khan there who's still capable, and uh, Rahul Tewatia who's done it in the past. But yeah, he needs a situation from where he can launch rather
yeah,
than just expecting him to do everything.
yeah,
So that was the GT response. Can we have a quick look at the bowling figures? And we can talk about the rest. And I will come to Ravi Bishnoi in a minute. But Mayank Yadav, every time LSG bowl, the world is looking at Mayank Yadav. Today, he bowled 1 over for about 13 runs. Didn't look like he was in any sort of rhythm. The fastest delivery he bowled was about 141,
41. Yeah,
142. That's normally his slower
slowest.
deliveries when he's when he's on song. What's going on there? Because I heard the post-match presentation and Krunal Pandya was asked, and he said, "Oh, he's got a bit of a niggle, so
Yeah,
we decided, but he's all right, and we've decided just not to bowl him when he wasn't
yeah.
feeling comfortable."
Yes, I mean, if you remember, we discussed this last time. I mentioned that he went inside after finishing that spell in his last game, and he was getting stretched. The physio was there working on his leg muscles, mainly thigh and calf muscles. And I think for somebody who bowls 155 regularly, I think these are very critical parts of your body. So I think they have to take care of those muscles. And I think they were trying to work on those muscles. So I felt probably if he was not 100%, but again, uh, should they have rested Mayank for this game, because this game was anyways plays on a slowish wicket, where they had other resources like Yash Thakur. He took 5 wickets. I mean, they had his slower one is, we all know what he can do. Even Naveen Nulak, his slower ones they're very effective. So I felt maybe they shouldn't have risked Mayank Yadav in today's game. They probably should have given him a day or two off, and then probably would have gotten him in the next game.
That's a fair point. Whoever's looking after Mayank Yadav, please, 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 please look after him well. He's an absolute joy when he's on song, and we need to maybe wrap him in cotton wool and keep him aside because he's as precious as they come.
Yeah,
Um, I'll tell you, and we'll come back to Yash Thakur in a minute, the Mr. Five-wicket haul. But even before that, I think the bowler who impressed me the most today was Krunal Pandya.
yeah,
He knows that wicket really well. He was wearing his pace. The flight, the dip, the drift that he was getting was beautiful, and just showing that a left arm bowler can bowl to a left-hander.
yeah.
Unlike a lot of teams who are scared, a good bowler is capable of bowling to any batter. And 3 for 11 in 4 overs in a 165 game. Brilliant.
Yeah. I told you when they got Manimaram Siddharth in, I told you that that it's something has triggered with Krunal Pandya, because that was the game when he scored those 40 55 runs, or 40 45 runs. That was the exact game when he scored those runs, and now his bowling is looking good as well. So I think he needed that kind of a trigger where they just told that okay, right, we have another left arm spinner in. We already have decent amount of batters who can bat at your position. Maybe that's the kind of message that he would have deduced. Maybe nobody has told him anything. It's just because he's a senior pro now. He understands his role. He understands his responsibility. So I think somewhere something must have clicked in his mind that okay, now he needs to deliver. I think after that game, I think he's looking like the old Krunal Pandya that we know used to turn out for Mumbai Indians. I think this is a very good sign for Lucknow, because when Krunal Pandya is fit and playing like this, so that adds like he's a quality spinner on big wickets like this. He's not just somebody who is going to come and bowl at 90-95 kilometers and bowl 4 overs, no loss, no wickets for 30. He's not that kind of a bowler. He has shown that today. So I think it's a very good sign, and his batting is I think again improving. Last over, I saw that he got that last delivery. Nicholas Puran played the first 5 deliveries. I think when he played that last delivery, it did not come off for him, and he was very disappointed that that it didn't come off. So it tells you that the kind of mindset he's in right now. He wants to do everything for his team, and I think you having such player is a very good sign for any team.
Both brothers on the winning sides today. Hardik for Mumbai, Krunal for LSG. Hardik just needs to kind of find his mojo now. Now,
Yeah.
take a leaf out of his brother's book and do that. Before we come to the league table, just one quick look at that bowling card again to talk about Yash Thakur.
Yeah.
Because he's had a bit of a tough run in this year's IPL. Got taken for a few runs. He wasn't looking, but today everything seems to be in sync, in rhythm, and when he can get everything aligned and in rhythm, he is a very, very useful bowler, especially in conditions like that.
Yeah, yeah. So, Yash Thakur, last season he bowled good spells, and he played a lot of cricket on that slow Lucknow wicket. And today we saw a similar wicket where his slower ones were effective, and he was looking like the old Yash Thakur who came in first. And I think even I told you when we were doing the LSG review that in that final game between Vidarbha and Mumbai, the Vidarbha skipper was keen, was so keen to bowling Yash Thakur instead of a senior bowler like Umesh Yadav, because he was also there in that team. But their captain kept going back to Yash Thakur because he was bowling so well on this same Wankhede wicket. He was very effective. He was wearing his place. He was bowling at good pace. Those lines were impressive. Those cutters were impressive. I think he was looking very good at that time, and I think he came back to this wicket again, and he 5 wickets for 30. I think it's a very good spell, probably a match winning spell for his team. And you rightly pointed out, he's looking good.
Yeah, and just 14 dot balls
Yeah,
in out of 24, which out of 23 actually, which
yeah,
is a very, very high percentage.
yeah.
What does this do to the league table as far as Lucknow and GT are concerned? So Lucknow maintaining their third place. I think they were in third place at the start of
Yeah.
this. Obviously,
Yes.
their net run rate being below Kolkata, so staying in third place. Whereas GT, I think, might have dropped below Punjab because
Things
of this loss.
probably yeah.
Uh, Probably because, yeah, not sure if their net run rate was better or worse. But third and seventh,
Yeah.
a bit of thinking to be done for GT. Hopefully, their injuries recover and they get a full squad to choose from. But the fact remains that they are going to need big runs and good runs from their skipper
Yeah.
if they are to go any distance in this tournament.
Yeah.
Um, Sarvesh, anything else to discuss before we call it a night on this Super Sunday?
I think we discussed this yesterday that we will have two teams at the bottom of the table tomorrow. That's today. So those teams will find it very difficult. And now we can see it's going to be a difficult season for Bengaluru and Delhi. And I think you have to feel for both these teams and their fans. They have been very patient in the recent past. So I think it is going to be a longish season for them. But I think there's still hope. They can still make a good comeback. 4 games lost out of 5. But anything can happen. We have seen this in the past. Team losing 4 5 games on trot has managed to win the season. So I think I would just like to say this to RCB and Delhi Capitals fans that don't lose hope yet. Maybe something can happen.
Absolutely, miracles do happen in this world, but for that, you've got to believe and you've got to keep trying. They don't happen by themselves. So, hopefully, Bengaluru and Delhi play for pride and put some wins on the board, and you never know what
Yeah.
happens. Well, with that, it brings us to the end of another episode of the Sneakometer podcast. As you can see on your screen, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please like us on Twitter and on Instagram. Give us your feedback, share our stuff that we do, like and comment as well, because your feedback keeps us going and also tells us what we can do and what we should not do. Um, Sometime next week, we are planning a special episode as well. When we get towards the mid section of the IPL, we'll come up with some more details in our later episodes. But watch out for that. It's going to be a fun segment. Until then, it's Goodbye from me in Wellington, from Sarvesh in Mumbai, and all you Mumbai fans go and celebrate. And all you Lucknow fans also can celebrate because both your teams have done you proud today. Thank you for watching and see you tomorrow.